And we are live. Welcome to another episode of Business Focus Live with me, John, where we talk about business related topics as well as news from here and around the world. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and let's get started. And we're back. Just my volume. And we're back. Thank you again for joining me today. Today is February the 4th, 2023. Now you may notice I've started late, super late, because I've been busy this whole day. And you may notice I'm wearing red today, and because of my niece's first christening or first birthday, and I just came back, so it's the only time I was able to do the live stream recording here. We have a viewer here. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me today. So there are a lot of interesting things to talk about. So without further ado, so let's take a look at what are the topics that are going to be discussed today. And none more so than the first one. We've been discussing Apple since last week, or for the longest time now. I've been a critical in terms of how Apple deals with their consumers, but in terms of the company as a whole, I mean, they've been tremendous in terms of how valuable the company is, in particular in the United States. And what's interesting is the power that the Apple brand has created, even in foreign territories, like in the case in Asia, in particular in China, that they're able to dominate their sales. And what would think that a homegrown brand would be the leader, but that's not the case here. So we'll talk about that. And also, we'll talk about how McDonald's CEO is complaining that increasing minimum wage could be detrimental to the business success here. Now, obviously, that's going to hurt their bottom line. But for me, it's just a cap out, which trying to maintain its stronghold. Obviously, the success to every fast food chain in this case, McDonald's, is the reliance on very affordable salary cost in this case. So we'll talk about that. Next is we'll be talking of some of the most anticipated PC games for 2023. That's this year. Actually, I was looking forward to the soon to be launched Hogwarts, with a lot of controversy. So I don't know if you're looking forward to that one. And there's a few more games. Actually, one was already released this year. Next is sticking to entertainment regarding the popularity of the E3, the Entertainment Electric Expo in the United States. Popularity is waning down for some particular reason. You have some big publishers with the likes of Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, the biggest platforms in terms of gaming platform, decided not to put up shop in the E3 event anymore. So what's going to happen with the event here? Is it going to last longer, or will they find another way to be able to recapture its success pre-pandemic here? And lastly, some interesting aspects. So stay tuned for the last one when we talk about a company that is known for luxury car makers, Rolls-Royce, for making some of the most luxurious vehicles, is now foraying into power generation in terms of nuclear reactor. That's right, you heard it first. Rolls-Royce has created a nuclear reactor to power up whatever you desire. I have my apprehensions, which we'll discuss also in a bit here. Anyway, so without further ado, so as mentioned, our first topic is regarding Apple's continued torrid success regardless of the pandemic, the supply chain issues worldwide. They're still able to take a foothold in terms of its popularity in not just in the Americas region, in Europe, but as well as in Asia, and in none more so in particular here in China. And upon reading this article, I was surprised that they are able to overtake some of the bigger brands, Chinese brands at that, smart maker like Huawei, Oppo, Vivo, and the likes here. So let's take a look at the article. There you go. So according to techtimes.com, the Apple company has dominated the last quarter four smartphone sales in China despite the macroeconomic headwinds here. And what's interesting here, uh, Apple dropped 3% of its sales compared to the year before. But compare that to the market, which is a double-digit drop, is pretty remarkable here. So they must be doing something right if they're able to tread water despite not generating positive more sales, but they didn't lose that much compared to the market here. And as mentioned here, Apple led smartphone sales in China in the fourth quarter of last year despite sustained sluggish demand in the industry's largest market. According to most recent statistics from Counterpoint Research, this triumph makes the US tech giant the second top brand in China for the first time ever. And obviously their whatever their marketing strategies or ploys that they're implementing, must be effective. The fact that an American brand can come in the China market and be the number one preferred brand over its contemporaries here. What's interesting here, smartphone sales in China fell by 15%, which is a pretty precipitous decrease from the year before. And it's the fourth consecutive quarter of double-digit declines due to slowing domestic economy and obviously the never-ending saga of COVID-19 issues with lockdowns, rising of cases, and a lot of things going against if you're trying to continue operating as a business here. What's interesting also, it's mentioned that consumer demand in China has been hampered by macroeconomic challenges, as mentioned, since 2020. And an analyst in Beijing, Archie Zhang of Global Tech, confirmed the statement here. And according to the most recent data, shows that the industry as a whole is cautiously optimistic about its near-term prospects. So it's possible that this is only a temporary glow for Apple, since if the industry is crashing, then it's not far behind that they may be crashing in terms of its sales. And obviously trying to avert that is very difficult, especially if it's if the pandemic is still has a stronghold with regards to the nation as a whole here. He goes on to mention that he warns that consumer confidence would take longer than the economy's recovery, especially in future income. Obviously, a lot of things goes into purchasing an item. If businesses are down, there's no income. The cycle is very difficult to overcome in a short span of time. And obviously, it's up to the government to entice consumers to be able to purchase different products, and in this case a smartphone here. Question here is what will happen to the other smartphone makers who are struggling to I won't say make ends meet, but to be able to generate the growth that they were able to do even pre-pandemic here. So we'll see how they fare in terms of future performance here. Now, continuing to another American company, McDonald's, which is one of the most popular brands of fast foods around the world. And interestingly enough, according to BusinessInsider.com, the CEO who says that the proposal for increase of minimum salary for their employees of $22 per hour can be costly, which I tend to agree, and job destroying. Now, I wouldn't say job destroying because even since during the pandemic or after the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, a lot of people were apprehensive in terms of applying for entry level jobs, in particular in fast food chains, because of the low pay and the risk involved during the height of the pandemic. So convincing individuals to apply for I wouldn't say top tier positions, but nonetheless, obviously it depends on the supply and demand. And increasing the minimum wage is always key to ensuring that you have a plethora of pool of competent, qualified employees. And obviously, if you don't pay a good sum of excuse me, good amount of base salary, then you can get different types of services, the nightmare services, experiences that you may have encountered from the past here. So the Fast Recovery Act could raise minimum wage for California fast food workers to $22 per hour. Now, a coalition led by chains like McDonald's have secured a referendum vote in 2024. So, I mean, trying to stop block the increase of wage, which is kind of interesting. Which is, you know, shouldn't increasing the salary be good for business, since they would provide better service for their customers, which is better service, more repeat sales from their customers here, and trying to block it, which is kind of counterintuitive here. Anyway, top McDonald's executives slammed lawmakers for passing the law in an open letter. Obviously, they're going to complain. Obviously, it's detriment to their business and it's going to hurt their bottom line. Why not reduce the salaries of those top executives? Let's see, and cascade that to the employees that needs the infusion increase of salaries here. Anyway, it goes on to mention that the president of McDonald's USA threw shade at California lawmakers for passing the food law, making it all but impossible to run small business. I don't think that's a small business, because obviously McDonald's is a franchise owned, but it's still a big conglomerate that has a big pull in terms of, if you go to different parts in the United States or even abroad, you see plenty of McDonald's present, and you cannot just say that it's going to hamper them significantly, because it's going to hurt your bottom line by increasing minimum wage. And we're not asking an exorbitant amount now. Having 14,000 restaurants in the United States, which is run by franchisees, could affect its bottom line. But obviously, the McDonald's fast food business is catering to a young, I won't say young demographic, but to the middle lower class demographic, because of its affordability and convenience here. And obviously, if politics benefits because of the politicking that's happening, benefits the employees here, and obviously they can just simply raise the price. Otherwise, they would, consumers would shift to a different brand here, or competitors such as Wendy's, Pizza Hut, or any other fast food chains that is competing in the likes of McDonald's here. So we'll see what happens here, or how it pans out for McDonald's here. I'm sure they'll be fine. They'll make a lot of complaints, but obviously, if it benefits the employees, I'm all for it. Anyway, next is in terms of gaming wise. If you're into PC, something interesting. Obviously, it's the start of the year, so a lot of interesting games that's going to be launched later this year. Question is, are you excited in terms of what are the types of games that's going to be released? Actually, number one in my list is the Hogwarts Legacy game that's going to be launched soon. And obviously, with the hype of being able to play in the wizarding world of where Harry Potter used to be, or predates Harry Potter, and then the controversy that surrounds the author J.K. Rowling. But either case, I'm going to check it out. If it's a good game, I'm gonna purchase it and play it to my heart's content. And if it's a terrible game, then I would not buy it based on the reviews here. So we have to wait and see. But let's take a look at what are some of the upcoming games here that you may be interested here. So let's see first here. So Dead Space has already been launched recently. It's a remake, a great remake at that, and I've seen the reviews here. And if you're familiar with the completionist, he was able to finish the game, and he gave it glowing remarks to not just finish it but complete the game in terms of better experience compared to the original. And that's how you're supposed to do a remake, meaning not just copy and paste the game for the current generation, but improve on its gameplay experience, the visual fidelity, and all of those niceties that we expect from playing RPG survival type of game in this scenario, and obviously a lot of fans would be interested to play this. And if you're into Dead Space types of genre, now the Callisto Protocol has been a copycat of sorts, which is has been given mixed reviews based on the different contents if you're checking it online. But if you do like this type of content, I think I would strongly recommend checking out the remake of Dead Space here, and I might purchase it. I'm not into survivor horror. The last time I played it is the original Resident Evil 1 and 2. So after that, I haven't played it. So it's not everyone's cup of tea. Or even Alien Isolation is another nice game, but I don't like the jump scares here. So to each his own. So what else do we have here? So again, if you're into RTS type of genre, and during World War, Company of Heroes 3 is going to be released later this month. So if you like the previous iteration of Company of Heroes, you might be interested in this one. So I'm not in up to this type of game. It's similarities to Warhammer 40,000. So it has different genres, which is obviously interesting. All types of games will be released later this year, so there's always something for everyone. You may not like this game, but you may like other types of game, which is good. And if you produce tremendous game, people will always buy it in droves. What else do we have here? And then you have FPS game Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. So if you're into FPS survival type of game, you may be interested in picking up this game. And if you're into this type, you maybe have played already Metro Exodus. Actually, I bought this game. I haven't started playing it. I plan on playing it, and if I enjoy it, I might check out this game as well. So obviously different genres, different appetites, different nuances that engages a player here. If it's a good game, it's compelling to play hours and upon hours of game. Yes, another type of game, if you're into Diablo, the RPG type of game, the hacks and slash, the action RPG that is known for Diablo, then you should check it out. But obviously be forewarned in terms of of its pitfalls of how Diablo was presented in terms of its crummy monetization tactics. So always be aware of how game developers have shifted on user game experience to maximizing profit or revenue by making you spend inordinate amount of money to be able to get you hooked and enjoy the game here. So we'll see how this is going to be presented for the masses here. And then obviously the most, I mean, for me anyway, the most anticipated Hogwarts Legacy, as mentioned earlier, in terms of its what do you call this, of its popularity. The game is attached to the wizarding world of Harry Potter, so being able to delve into the world that is the wizarding world, from the Muggles going to Hogwarts Castle, different rooms, different interact with other players or other characters. And it would be nice to be able to interact some known characters that we've seen in the movies. Like, let's say, it would have been nice that this predates the early years of Dumbledore being the headmaster of Hogwarts, and you see some familiar teachers, professors in Professor McGonagall, maybe Snape, or someone else that's familiar to everyone here. But obviously, that's asking too much. Anyway, so what else do we have here? Yeah, something else. So I saw this, so maybe you might be interested to check this out. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So it's a sequel to the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which I've started playing it, so I haven't finished it, and it's an action RPG type of game. So obviously the only difference here is it's set in the Star Wars world. So if you like playing this lightsaber experience, I think you're going to enjoy it. And obviously if if the storyline is any good as its first one, then I think it's going to be fine in terms of performance here. What else do they have here? Yes, again, for is it Namco who produced this game? I forgot. They've been remaking all of their Resident Evil apart from continuing the franchise here. We'll wait and see how they're able to translate this. Is it similar to how comparable the performance of Dead Space remake is, or is it just a hash copy and paste for the Resident Evil 4 game here? So we'll see. We'll see if it's going to be interesting. Another game that you might be interested in checking out is Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. So they'll be playing the protagonist role here in terms of the Justice League being, I think, controlled by Brainiac, if I'm correct in terms of its narrative here. But being able to play lesser known characters with Boomerang, who was it, Deadshot, Harley Quinn, and even King Shark would be interesting. It would be nice to see how they plan this presentation in terms of actual gameplay. So we'll see. And obviously there's Starfield. For the longest time, Starfield has been in the hype that they built, Bethesda. If they are not able to follow through with what they're promising, they're going to be in hot water, similar to how CD Projekt Red encountered with the debacle, which is the Cyberpunk 2077, which I haven't played up to this point because of its mishandling. And obviously you don't reward companies for following it up, because it encourages them to even continue these bad practices of releasing games that is not fully formed or fully developed here. But we'll wait and see. And there's always hope. Continue with our entertainment here, as mentioned, in regards to one of the biggest not say platforms but events of each year that every gamer is looking forward is the E3 event in the United States. In particular, it's the Entertainment Electronic Expo. That's why it's called E3. But what's interesting in this case, it's not just this year, but in recent years, that some of the major publishers or platforms like Microsoft, you have Sony, and even Nintendo has ditched the use of their platform and created their own online to mix and varying degrees of performance. That's why you want to have a venue where all of the gaming publishers, platforms can present their latest games or consoles in this case, so that audiences will be excited to play what's coming up and not have different presentations that everyone has to watch here, which is what's going to happen here. And obviously this is detrimental to the E3 organizers, who sad to say, this is what happens if you provide a terrible experience for the gamers here. And as mentioned, what the heck according to the article at PC Gamer, so all three major platforms give E3 the brush off. So gaming's biggest publishers aren't coming back for the E3 first in-person event since 2019. This is before the pandemic here. And according to the Entertainment Software Association, made a big hullabaloo of announcing the return of E3 back in September, with PAX organization ReedPop taking over the show. The 2023 E3 is set to be first in-person version of the event since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think, obviously convincing people to visit the event, it's not similar as to, like, let's say if it's Comic-Con. I think that's a good comparison to compel people, to travel from all walks of life, from different parts of the world to visit your event. There has to be a compelling case. Now, obviously, it used to be, having a new game, a concept game, or a teaser game that, obviously everyone is trying to find out what the game is going to be launched, when is it be, what the type of game, create a lot of hype. But nowadays, obviously, with social media, it makes it moot, or I say not necessarily useless, but less engaging, less what do you call this? Less impactful, less engaging, less compelling is what I'm trying to say the word. So the question here is, how are they going to spin this so that it makes it a go-to event for each year for the coming years here? So we'll wait and see. But for the rest of us, if we're looking to see what Sony, Microsoft, or even Nintendo is doing, you have to watch their own event each year, and obviously some of them have different agendas. So I'd rather wait from the reviews rather than obviously I wasn't able to visit any of those in the past. So lucky for those who are able to attend in previous events here. Anyway, for our last topic, let's see if we have any comments. For our last topic, as mentioned earlier, a company who is known for making luxurious car is now foraying into a different realm, which is a totally 360 from when I read this article of producing self-sustaining energy, dangerous at that, but energy nonetheless, which is Rolls-Royce creating nuclear reactor here. So according to techspot.com, Rolls-Royce is teasing a small nuclear reactor for space travel and moon bases. So they're looking far and away, which is kind of interesting. We have a lot of issues here in our planet, yet companies like SpaceX, Origin, even now Rolls-Royce is looking beyond our planets to colonize. And obviously we need power, and you need a reactor to be able to sustain yourself in long periods of time. Now the question is, will it work? How safe would it be? When they say nuclear power, obviously what springs to mind is what happened in Chernobyl, the accident that happened there, and even in what happened in Japan's Fukushima, the tsunami that occurred. That even if the technology is readily available, but the risk, the harm that it can do, not just to the environment but to our society as a whole, is mind-boggling to say the least. If we should consider using this type of technology, or we should find better alternatives that it's much safer or better controlled in this aspect. Anyway, so according to Rolls-Royce, they tweeted a new image of a micro reactor that could use nuclear energy to power spaceships and lunar facilities. The post contained further information of the reactors working, mainly regarding safety. So here's an illustration of what in the reactor. It looks beautiful. It looks nice. But obviously, when the reactor goes haywire, a lot of dangerous things, popping out, and that's not good for human beings to interact with. So according to the post here in Rolls-Royce, they mentioned that it's designed to use an inherently safe and extremely robust fuel form. Each uranium particle is encapsulated in multiple protective layers that act as a containment system, allowing it to withstand extreme conditions. This I have to wait and see, unless they could actually test it in the real world, so to find out its viability before you even consider using it for whatever case it is, whether it be space exploration, military, or for for humans, civilization to move forward and focus on shifting, using what do you call this, using nuclear as a alternative source of energy versus coal, which is obviously not environmentally healthy here. Well, we'll see. Here's to hoping. Anyway, I think that's about it for this edition of Business Focus Live. Sorry for the late start, but it is what it is. Either I do it late or I have to do it on a Sunday night, which I haven't done it, so try to avoid it, and hopefully I can go back to my normal scheduling if time would permit. So please bear with me for those who are just watching it sometime in the future. So you are informed. Anyway, if you find the topics discussed today interesting, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and continue supporting the channel. So we've already reached 1,000 subscribers. Let's try to get to 4,000 now. So continue spreading the word. Like, share, and subscribe. So always, if you have any questions, leave your comments down below, and I'll try to get back to you. Let's start a conversation here. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.